What's happening, everybody? We are back. It is Thursday night. Time for another episode of Thrifty Business with Jay and Nay. I'm your one host, Vegas Jay.
I'm Philly Nay. Hi.
What's happening, everybody? We are going to discuss, we're going to add an extra segment on the fly tonight. So we're going to do our normal first two, and then we're going to discuss the reason I'm wearing a purple shirt tonight. So let's get right into our normal segments here, and we'll get that going. I'm glad to see you all join us again because we missed you guys. Whoops. There we go. Here we go. That was sad. It was like the saddest gong ever. All right, let's try that again. Oh my gosh, what's happening? There we go. It's time for Jay's Tiki Talk. Yeah, 2 weeks off, a little rusty already. Where I share with you a rum I'm drinking and a tiki mug that if you find it might be collectible and worth some money. So tonight, to go with my shirt, I have one of my two purple tiki mugs. And this is from a tiki bar in El Segundo, California, right by LAX. It's owned by our friends Dave and Rebecca. It's called the Purple Orchid. This was their first signature mug. They don't make this mug anymore. So if you do find it, this mug will probably bring you anywhere from 40 to 50 bucks. Let me have a sip. And due to what we're going to be talking about in a few minutes, I thought to toast a fallen soldier, I would bring out some good rum tonight. So this is Florida Cognac 18 year. And so anytime you get up in the higher years, 18, 20, 30, 50, it's just so smooth and nice. So tonight we're doing that out of that. So it's all purple all night tonight. And what are you drinking tonight, Nay?
Well, I have ginger ale because the insurance company denied my anti-nausea medicine, so I have none left. So I'm trying to.
Oh, shoot! I forgot to introduce our guest. No, I'm so rusty. 2 weeks.
Oh, yes, we don't
have already. Holy cow! Here's our guest tonight, Helen. Oh my gosh, how are you, Helen?
Good, thanks. Hey guys.
And I'm sure everyone knows, but if you don't, Helen's coming to us live from Perth, Australia. Yay! Our first guest from the other side of the world, and look how nice her Wi-Fi signal is.
It's amazing, yeah.
It is awesome. So Helen's going to be back. She's going to tell you the differences between thrifting in Australia, the U.S., the trials and tribulations of selling online down there. She's got scores, she's got duds, she's got it all. So she'll be back in about half an hour, so we'll see you in a little bit, Helen.
See you then.
All righty, let's put Helen to sleep here. Come on. All right, now it is time for. It's time for. It is time for. Oh my gosh. Nay's breast cancer update and fact of the week. I feel if I take 1 week off, I won't be this rusty. 2 weeks off, I'm a little rusty. All right, so let's hear it, Nay.
Yeah, so I'm wearing tonight, if you guys can see, this beautiful scrub top that Jay sent me, and it just came in the mail today, and it's got the pink ribbon there, and if everybody can see, and it's got this cute little tie, and it fits me perfect, and I love it, and it's comfy. So thank you, Jay. And what else? Geez, it's been a rough couple of weeks. Like I've been recovering from my surgery. It's infected my hips. They took some tissue from my hips. They filled in some holes up here. I've got I had some incisions on my stomach because I have a lot of scar tissue on my scar that goes from hip to hip. If I'm healthy enough, I will be able to have my next surgery in another 3 weeks. The doctor said I'm healing pretty well, so he can do the next one, and it'll be the same exact surgery with a little more stomach involvement. It's okay, it is what it is. But I do have, some questionable things. At the oncologist right now. Hopefully everything's fine. We'll see. I have to get a whole lot of blood work and a scan done, so I'll schedule those, and hopefully everything's fine. And it's always like that though with cancer. There's always the threat of something not being good every time you go for testing, and so we'll see. but I'm hanging in there. And my tip, let's see, my cancer. Well, it's a fact actually that especially with my type of breast cancer, I have a very hormonally positive type of breast cancer. It's the hormone, there's hormonal components on the cancer receptors, my estrogen and my progesterone levels that are off the charts with my type of cancer. And I have to keep my weight down, which is happening anyway because I've been doing Bollywood dancing, and just from my medication, my nausea, not being able to eat a lot, I've dropped a lot of weight, but for my life now, I have to keep my weight down because any excess weight, especially obesity, but any excess weight can actually increase the chances of my cancer coming back faster because fat cells actually produce estrogen. So the less fat I have on my body, the less threat of my cancer coming back will be. So my oncologist is, right now, she's a little upset with my weight loss, but she's happy with my overall, the fact that, I'm keeping my weight down. So it's a good thing, but just a random fact. And also, I have purple nails today, and Prince did pass away, so that was kind of a little tribute there. So.
Yeah, so, and that'll lead us right into the little added segment I was going to add today. So let's talk about this picture right here. Oh, who is calling me? I'm on the air. This is Prince and Apollonia from the movie Purple Rain, which came out in the summer of 1984. And I was a 13-year-old boy. And like most 13-year-old boys, I now am fully aware of girls. And so my mother took me to see Purple Rain because I was already a huge Prince fan, and so was my mom. And we went to this little dumpy mall called the Tanglewood Mall. And if I recall, we were the only two people in the theater. It was like a Thursday night. And if you've seen Purple Rain from that shot I just showed you, Prince takes Apollonia to a lake, and he says she has to be purified in the lake. And the only way to do it is to jump in the lake. And she takes off her clothes, so now she's topless, and now I'm a 13-year-old boy who's enjoying the scenery but sitting next to his mother. So, and I think we've all been there. We've all watched a movie when we were a kid, and something naughty or dirty happened, and you're next to your parents. You're like, oh, I don't know what to feel right now. So that's one of my earliest Prince memories, and that movie was just phenomenal. And today I was actually out interviewing for a new assistant, and my phone started blowing up. And it was my wife and my mom and Chris Green, and everybody saying Prince is dead ? And I'm trying to do this interview, and I'm reading that my all-time rock idol has passed away, or supposedly passed away. And when I finally got, when I was done with the interview, and I did hire her, we'll see how she does. When I was done with the interview, I realized it was true, very sad. But one thing on the thrifting board we talk about is when celebrities die, there's this arc of mourning, and when people mourn, they tend to want to buy stuff. And so the bigger the celebrity, the longer the arc lasts. So when Michael Jackson passed, his lasted a whole month, and a smaller celebrity, they may be a couple days. So we talked about it in the group right away, and oddly, sadly or greatly for me, I had 2 crates of Prince vinyl I was going to list a month ago, and it's still sitting at my feet, and I hadn't listed it. So I got home from running errands, and I started listing right away. So I listed this 12-inch single, and this single is for Just As Long As We're Together and Soft and Wet. These are old songs. It sold for $60 within 23 minutes. And then I listed this balloon-shaped 45, She's Always in My Hair, backed with Paisley Park, for $50, and it sold in 17 minutes. So when someone dies, there will be no greater time to sell a collectible than right now. Now, some people might get mad at that. You're capitalizing on death. Well, in 2016, that's how it works. Every entertainment show tonight is paying their bills by talking about Prince. Every magazine's going to have Prince on the cover. Every newspaper's going to have Prince on the cover. So our job is to sell stuff and get the most for our stuff, and to pay our bills and support our family, and this is the time. I just happen to luck out and have 2 full crates of vinyl collectibles, and here's how nutty it's gotten. This 45 for Purple Rain It's in a plastic sleeve on purple vinyl, backed with a song called God. This used to go for like 15, 20 bucks. If you look at it right now, it's going between 75 and 100 bucks, and I have two of them sitting here. So I am very sad my idol is past, only 57 years old. I'm actually kind of sick still about it. But with anything in life, let's celebrate his life. And but, you know, if you have that collectible item that you want to part with, now's your time. So I'm wearing purple tonight for my boy. I'm drinking out of a purple mug. So here's to you, Prince Buddy. And if you haven't seen the picture yet, when we're done with the show, don't leave now. Somebody took a picture at his house in Minneapolis today, and there was a rainbow over his house. Now, if that doesn't give you chills, I don't know what will.
No, it is sad.
Yeah, and then Nate was getting purple nails by pure weird coincidence.
It was weird coincidence. I just felt like, you know, my friend who she picks me up and forces me to get my nails done she's a good friend, and thanks, Cindy. Anyway, so we were at the nail salon. I just happened to pick sparkly purple, and then at the nail salon, you know how news travels at nail salons. I was actually the first one to break it to our lifeguard group which is unusual because I'm usually not on top of celebrity occurrences, you know, and deaths. But yeah, it was sad. I was really sad to find out. So I guess the purple sparkly inspired nails were my intuition or something that.
And my mom just said in the chat, I wasn't even thinking about this. My dad is not a concert goer at all. Like I am, he's not. He went to Prince with us in Vegas when we were all tourists here.
Wow.
He knew one song, Kiss. That was the only song my dad knew, but he was there rocking out. So I have that memory too of taking my parents and my wife to see Prince. So all right, enough of the Prince tribute. You know, but that applies for anybody who dies. And poor China the wrestler, no one will remember she died today because she died on the same day as Prince, just like Farrah Fawcett died on the same day as Michael Jackson, and no one remembers.
There was some country singer who I didn't recognize the name of who also passed away today. And
there was?
Yeah, I don't know who. You know.
You mean Merle Haggard from a couple days ago?
No, it was a different country singer.
Jeez. So. All right, let's get into our normal stuff here because we got some good stuff to share with you. It is time for the scores of the week, brought to you by WorthPoint. And since we've been off for a couple of weeks, we both have a good selection of scores and duds too, for that matter. So I'm going to share with you my first score, and Nay will remember this because I bought it with her a year ago, and I finally listed it, and it sold. So imagine that. If you list things, they actually sell. That's crazy. This actually sold for 32 bucks. Lost in Space, the Jupiter 2.
Oh, nice.
And I bought that with you at that ghetto Salvation Army.
Yes, that was a great. Yeah, we gotta go back to that store.
So not a ton of money, but 32 bucks for a used T-shirt. I'm very happy with. But this is my big daddy, Star Wars Trilogy sealed DVD box set. Listed it for $399.99 or best offer, and a person bought it for $399.99.
Wow, that was a good sale.
And hey, Nay, ask me how much I spent on this.
How much did you spend on that day?
Well, Nay, I'm glad you asked. It was $6, but that day everything was half off in the store. It was $3.
Wow, that was a good deal.
Pay attention to this listing. That's the trilogy you're looking for. That's the one people want. It's the 2008 widescreen trilogy, 4, 5, and 6. So keep your eyes open for that. And I know I'm beating a dead horse. I bring it up every episode, but here, most of you, I would assume some of you or most of you would know the Pixies. They were a band from the 90s. Here's 5. Here's 5 cassettes, and the cassette cases are broken. 5 cassettes sold for $35.
Oh, yeah, Trump Lamond is the first one. I see Surfer Rosa there. Oh, yeah, I know all those.
Yeah, so 5 cassettes that I paid 70 cents each for, so $3.50. I sold for 10 times my money. So look for those cassettes and group them together. All right, here you go, Nadine.
Oh, my, this was the weirdest tie I've ever found or sold. Can you go into some of the pictures on that?
Yeah, sure. Let me make this a smidge smaller. Okay. There we go.
So it's this whirlwind, like this tornado scene. I don't know what's going on there. There's a big tornado coming. It's It's kind of Wizard of Oz.
Well, I was gonna say Wizard of Oz until this scene.
Yeah, and that doesn't really fit in there. So it was the weirdest tie I've ever found. And the guy that bought it bought 2 other ties with it. He paid. I had best offer on these, and he paid the full $34.99 for that one. And then he bought a couple others for like $20, and he was happy. But that was I think that's the all-time weird. And I priced it high. I mean, it wasn't a good brand or anything. I just priced it high because it was so weird that so.
Now here's what's funny. One of your scores is kind of like one of my duds.
Oh, really? So this was. Do you remember when I first bought? That was the first record I've ever bought. And you said, what did you say?
I said that'll never sell.
Yes. So I said I'm going to price it for $50 and I'm going to sell it. Well, it did take a while. And I did buy this by the pound in the outlet store, and it was sealed. It was a 7 LP box set, and it went to Canada. And they were happy with it, and so there you go. I sold my Mormon Tabernacle Choir.
As soon as we get to the duds, you'll see where mine didn't go so well.
And then these always pick up vintage sheets, especially if you find them as such with that they're in the package still. And this was like the cotton. I think these were 80s. They were sealed, in the original package. They were in mint condition. I mean, the package was like somebody had just set it in their closets for the last 30 years and.
Gotta love that.
Yeah, so I sold, and it was only a twin size, so that's why I didn't price it higher than that. But $34.99, fit in a padded flat rate envelope. Buyer was happy. So.
Coolio. All right, you've seen our scores. Now it's time for. Our duds of the week. Let our mistakes not be yours. I was trying to am I saying that wrong?
You're saying it right.
Yeah, I was. But in my head it seemed wrong.
Okay. Oh my.
All right. So here we go. Let's get back to our duds now. And so my first dud, where are we? Here we go. Hey, Mormon.
Oh no.
Oh my. So I bought these. They usually do pretty well, but this was only one part of a 3-volume set. It's just volume 3. I feel if I had the whole volume, I would have sold it for more. This actually sold for $15. So these will sell, but make sure you have all the volumes. Now, I want to point out, though, look how nice the first picture looks. Most people make this their first picture, which is kind of boring.
Right.
This shows you there are cassettes. There's a little pizzazz to it. So, if nothing else, take that away from this listing. And Harley stuff does usually pretty well. This only sold for $10. So, and I had it for a while. So when I got $10 offer, I was happy to take it. Only weighed 2 ounces to ship, so it wasn't all that much. But it's one of those things I was happy to say bye bye.
Oh, here's mine. Yeah. So these are really the point is if you find something really unique and cool. It's not necessarily going to sell. Watch the size, too, and watch, the particulars about it. Once I got these home, I realized that they had been restitched kind of crudely, not professionally. So I had to list that they have been altered, and it was very evident on the inside, not so much on the outside, except that the waist didn't quite align. So I detailed that, in the pictures and all. They were cool. They were hand-painted jeans. The brand was just not even important because they were some off-brand, and so, but they were really cool. But the waist was a 25 waist, which that's a tiny, tiny woman. So, and they were a 30 inseam, so that's a tiny and short woman. So it took a long time. They took a long time to sell, and I think it was because of the size and the alterations. So pay attention to that stuff. If you find something and you think, wow, this is really cool. They did go. I took a best offer for $25. I just took it right away. I had them up for $39.99. So it wasn't a bad sell in the end, but they took forever to sell. And this yarn is the same thing. It sold. I took a best offer. They offered me $20, and I came back with $22, and they said fine. So, but again, this was the same deal. I don't know why, because usually organic cotton yarn sells faster. kind of like the wools and the cashmeres and all, but for some reason this just sat around forever, so long that it was literally in the bottom of one of my bins again that I had to really dig for it. So, and this was just a dud kit that, again, it just took forever.
Dud kit.
It was a dud kit. I mean, it's $12.99, free shipping. They're easy to ship, you know, stick in an envelope, but still, you know, it just took forever to sell. So.
And I have one more dud. I guess mine were a little out of order. I thought this was hilarious. You know, when you get things made in Mexico, and it says Hecho in Mexico. So this is Boba Fett, and it says Hecho in Camino, and that's where Boba Fett's from. I thought it was awesome. It finally sold after a year for $12.
Okay.
It was new with tags. And
Wow.
I'm like, oh, I guess the nerd in me was stronger than the nerd in most, so it did not pan out to be as awesome as I thought it would. So, oh well. Alrighty, so we've done our scores, we've done our duds. Now it is time for Close Encounters of the Thrifty Kind. All right, so if you watch me on Periscope, you saw me do one of my Show Me What You Got live from a park in New York City where I was on vacation last week. And I had my lovely assistant, Stacy, my wife, showing stuff. I was sitting at a park bench. She was showing stuff behind me. At one point, she turned around to put the things she was showing down to pick up something else, and there was a woman standing there digging through the clothes. Is this for sale?
Oh, no.
Now, when we set up to do it right there was no one around us. And all of a sudden, somebody sees us broadcasting, and they're like, oh, I want to buy stuff. And I didn't see it happen. Stacey informed me afterwards, but it would have been funny if we sold something right that moment on the air.
You might have had a sale, yeah.
That would have been crazy. But yeah, don't turn your back on your goodies. You never know when someone's going to try and grab it.
Especially when you're in a big city like, you know, like I live in, or New York, yeah. Okay, so I have a picture to go with mine, Jay.
Yep, I'm getting them right now, so you start talking.
All right, as usual. So I went to our Philly AIDS Thrift had a big, huge sale this past weekend. It was a 3-day to celebrate their 150,000, I think it was, $1 donation amount. Anyway, they were they're an awesome charity. They do free AIDS screening. They do they do such amazing work, you know, and volunteer work. So I was there. I finally got out on Friday. I wasn't feeling so good. I forced myself to get out, just more for, like, you know, the free food, the fun of the, you know, because I can't really thrift so much, you know, these days. I've got a lot to list, and but it was fun to get out. And I was standing near the register, and I saw this girl, and she was actually, I just loved her hair. It was amazing. It was beautiful. And I asked her if I could please take a picture of, you know, the back of her head, not to get her face, and I explained that I would be putting it on our show, and she said, oh yeah, I'd love that. That's awesome. So I took her picture, but her hair was just crazy, and in the front it was all, like, you know, it was just like rainbow gorgeous.
So you met the real life live Rainbow Bright.
Pretty much, yeah. And she had a beautiful face. She had a lot of facial piercings and all, but she was a gorgeous girl. But I loved her hair. I thought it was awesome. So that was my.
Yeah, that's pretty bitchin' right there.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. So it's so cool that I had to ask to take her picture.
And it was nice that she was gracious about that.
Oh yeah, she was really, really sweet. Yeah.
Some people get wigged out.
No, she was very nice. I told her what I was doing with the picture, and she was like, yeah, it's fine. That's cool.
Alrighty, now it's time for our thrifty tips of the week. And I went thrifting today, and luckily I went thrifting today because I didn't have a tip, so I went thrifting today. So here's my tip. I love buying bags and purses, and my tip is pay attention to the plain looking stuff too, because the stuff that's vibrant will catch your eye. So I'll start with that. So I saw this the sack purse, and man, it's vibrant, and it caught my eye right away. It's in great shape. I don't think it's ever been used, so that was an easy grab for me. Even better, and most of you who saw my Periscope saw this vintage 1987 Who Framed Roger Rabbit bag. This is awesome. This caught my eye. This was hanging like this, so it did not catch my eye because it's just plain black. But because I go one item at a time and not just glancing, I noticed it is a Nike Air Jordan backpack Jumpman new with tags.
Wow.
And this one, and here's the backpack. So this is going to be like at least $50, and I paid $9 for it. But if I was just looking for things that stick out, when I saw this like this, it would not have stuck out. But because I touch every item and I go through every bag, I'm like, ooh, that's a Jordan bag new with tags. Heck yeah. And it might be more. I can't find this exact bag. It might be 100. It's definitely 50. So one at a time. There's my tip today. Go one at a time.
That's a good tip. So my tip is, and this actually has to do with Pam, who I think is in the chat tonight. Pam, say hi. Pam?
Hi, Pam.
Yes, she's there. Okay. So anyway, Pam, we went thrifting with Pam back in February when Jay was here for my fundraiser, and we went to a thrift store in New Jersey the day after the breast cancer fundraiser, and there was there were some, she was, she found all this great stuff, and we were all kind of just shopping separately, and she had found this photo album. I didn't even see her pick it up. We were out in the parking lot and she's like, look at this is so cool. She opens it up and there's all these vintage stickers in there, and I'd like to know how she did with those, because
she's already made a ton.
Okay, so my point is, always, and when you're in the thrift stores, after that experience, every time I'm in the photo album section, I see photo boxes, photo albums, I open every single one up and see if there's anything in it, because you never know if you're going to find some cool vintage pictures or some awesome stickers like that Pam had found. So always open up the photo albums and look in them.
That's an awesome tip. All right, now it's time for... You have got to be shipping me, where Nay and I give you shipping tips. I usually tell you what not to do, and Nay tells you what to do. And today I am telling you what not to do. So this was a box from a friend who sent me a gift, so I do appreciate that part of it. What did he do wrong here, Nay?
Because he put fragile glass on there?
Yeah.
You don't believe in the fragile?
No. Two things here. You should pack anything that's glass or breakable and be able to chuck it down the stairs. So you don't need to write this. It should be packed well enough. Now, this doesn't happen to every single employee, but some people take this as a challenge. We've all seen videos where Postal, FedEx, UPS employees are just chucking packages over your fence. It does happen. It is not the norm, but you do not need to do this. The other bad thing in this package...
Newspaper.
No, no, and no, and no. 2 reasons. It's going to get your customer's hands inky. It could get the item inky inside, and it's actually heavier than most packing material.
Not just that, it doesn't absorb the shock.
No, it does not absorb the shock. Now,
yes.
It wasn't all newspaper, so I'll give him that. But those 2 things don't do, and you don't need to do. You should pack if this mug was in this box, I should be able to go like that and not have a problem. Okay.
So did your item arrive broken?
It did not.
Okay, so that's good.
It did not. I'm just saying.
So I had a buyer. I do keep the fragile stickers on hand in case I do. I use them occasionally. I think I got like a free sheet of them with some other labels that I had ordered. But I did have a buyer recently who gave me very specific instructions on how to ship her item. She said, wrap it in I forget what it was, but it was wrap it in tissue, then wrap it in bubble, pad it with 2 inches of peanuts on either side, and please put fragile stickers on the package and mark it very carefully. So you know what? I did everything she said, and it was a good thing I had the fragile stickers, and But I agree, if you pack it well enough, you don't need them. So my tip is Roberta from she's one of our very nice viewers, and I think she's a member. Yeah, she's a member of Thrifting Board too. She ordered this kitchen this beautiful cookbook from me, and I was really grateful for the sale, and she complimented me on 2 things with my shipping of the cookbook. So the first thing was the fact that the way I shipped it. So here's a similar one, which I probably shouldn't have picked up because of my lymphedema here.
Put that down, young lady.
Yeah, I know. Here's a similar one. So what I did was I bubbled the whole thing, the whole book, and then to protect the corners, I made cardboard corners so that the corners wouldn't get bent, and then I put the whole thing in a poly mailer, just a regular poly mailer. and it got there fine. She said that was really great shipping. So that's a really inventive way to ship a book that it doesn't add any extra weight onto the book. Even though I did ship that one medium mail because I usually do free shipping with medium because it was like a 6-pound book, but it got there quickly and the corners didn't get damaged. And the other thing that she complimented me on, which a lot of people have been asking about, is my pink bubble wrap. And this came from Mark and Robin at Bubble Fast. So any of you guys can order from Bubble Fast. It comes in big rolls, and this lovely pink bubble wrap. So people have been asking me where I got it from. So that's where.
Hey, I want to say real quick, I never thought about saying this, but if you're not watching us live, and you can't, if you can't, you can't, I get that. But if you can, there's a whole chat going on to the right side of the screen, and the unfortunate thing is when the show's over, that chat disappears.
Mm-hmm.
So there's great comments, great questions, great storytelling going on by all the viewers, and Nate and I have been answering questions, and unfortunately you won't see those answers. So if you can watch live, watch live. All right, so here we are. It is now time for... Oh, I got the wrong screen up. Yeah, how about that? Our viewers' 2-minute topic of the week. This week, our question was submitted by Mark Levine, and you know, all know Mark from...
Who we were just talking about. I was just talking about. Yeah.
So Mark asks, is there a difference in price when buying postage from eBay, PayPal, USPS, Stamps.com, or Indicia? Which do you prefer? So let me get this off, and we'll get Nay up here, and you are off and running.
So I use eBay shipping, and the major reason, well, has been because of my TRS. I do get a discount. However, for the first time since I've been selling, I lost my TRS today because of some packages that got lost in the post office vortex. So that's a whole different topic, but I'll get it back. It's okay. But that was the reason I always use eBay. Plus, it's easier. But on occasion, I will use PayPal if you do ship now. PayPal, and I also use the post office. You do get a small discount rather than standing in line. So I'll use USPS.com to ship to like family and friends, or sometimes I'll use PayPal. The thing with the post office is you cannot ship first class online. You can only do priority or express and whatnot, but you can do first class with PayPal if you go to paypal.com/shipnow. So I do use that sometimes. I've never used Indicia or Stamps. I do hear good things about those. I think Jade might be able to tell you a little more about those.
Nice. All right. Let me reset and start. All right, so yeah, I'll go right to Stamps.com because Stamps.com, I use that for all my Amazon purchases. So you can hook up Stamps.com to your Amazon, and if you sell on Amazon and you do merchant fulfill, which means you ship, assholes at Amazon charge you 7 cents a label. But if you do it through Stamps.com, they don't charge you 7 cents a label. Now, of course, Stamps.com costs money, so you got to make sure those things equal out, or you end up on the winning side. But Stamps.com is very good. I use PayPal.com/shipnow quite often. They give me the same discount as eBay does, so when I'm sending something home to my mother because she was just here and left some things behind, I'll be using that feature to send it home to her. But PayPal.com and USPS does not have the regional boxes. Stamps.com does. So you need to use all those things together. And, of course, I use eBay shipping when I ship eBay stuff, and I've never used Indicia, so I can't tell you anything about Indicia.
Okay.
Easy peasy. Pumpkin squeezy.
I don't know where that came from, but okay.
All right. And our last topic this week, we have a revolving set of 4 topics. And this week is our... the good, the rad, and the ugly.
Yes, and that picture. Man, your face.
Wait for the sound effects, young lady.
I'm sorry.
Sheesh. I work hard on doing my sound effects, and you talk. Let's do it again. Shh.
Okay.
There we go. Now you can talk.
It's because every time I see your face in that picture, I just like when I was doing that Photoshop, like I was laughing the whole time.
Oh yeah, it's the best one. I mean, the way the vest is buttoned and my look at my face so goes together.
And I asked you to send me a picture. I was like, I need a better picture. I need like a mean-looking picture of you. That's what I got.
All right, so this segment is mainly about the ugly things we find. Sometimes to keep, sometimes to sell, because we all know ugly sells. So I knew we were doing this segment. I went downstairs to get my cocktail and went, oh shoot, I don't have nothing. But I found something.
Okay.
I always got ugly laying around the house. Look at these owls.
Wow, is that fur? Is that like feathers? Is that
Yes.
What is it?
It's fur.
It's fuzzy. It's fuzzy.
Yeah, it's fur and feathers. This.
Wow.
I know this will sell for a good amount, but this is beyond ugly.
That's hideous.
Yeah, hideous. But and I paid like only $9 for it. I got to imagine if I market it right, it'll be $100.
Holy. That's
It's
super fun to ship.
a real piece of branch too, so it's kind of cool.
Wow, that is ugly.
and the viewers agree, it's ugly.
It's hideous.
Yeah.
It's ugly. So I have a link for mine. Do you have my link?
Yep, I'm getting it up.
And I also have it in hand. So this I bought before. I don't know if the big Kentucky Derby what was the one? It was like last year.
Yeah, it was last year.
Yeah. So it was a couple weeks before the Kentucky Derby, and this was one of my thrifty encounters. This woman fought me for this. In fact, she got kicked out of the store by the Goodwill employee because she was so obnoxious about trying to literally pry this out of my hands. And she said that she was going to the Derby, so she deserved it. And anyway, it was she was very angry that I was buying it. But maybe I need to lower the price now. You know, I priced it before that, considering that, and it just hasn't sold. So I think I need to lower it. But it is. I mean, it's cool because it's all it's like so cool that it's ugly. It's really. Here's the shirt from it, so you guys can see the print.
Woo! Hang on. Let me pop you on the big screen. There we go.
Can you see it close up?
Yep.
Yeah. So it's pretty darn ugly. And the collar has the like the horseshoes, and I mean it's a size 10, which is pretty, and it's an oversized. It's like an 80 size 10. It's Alexander Campbell, and so it's a 3-piece outfit. I think I just need to lower the price. I think my photos are okay, but it just hasn't. That was supposed to go with my shipping too.
I know. I just thought. I'm like, wait, what's this last?
So that was the book that I actually shipped that our friend Roberta bought for me. So thank you, Roberta. That was supposed to be with my shipping tip.
So real quick, I don't normally answer the chat questions out loud, but I will answer this one because there is confusion. Francis just said, I thought we couldn't put fragile stickers or write fragile anymore. Yes, you can. There is a special fragile handling you have to do with the post office that you pay more for, but they protect it more or give you more insurance or some crap. I don't know. You shouldn't have to ever use it, but if you write the words fragile, it doesn't throw that into effect. You don't charge you more. You just don't need to write the word fragile. I'm just telling you, pack it well. You don't need to write it.
So one thing, when I go to my post office, there's one particular woman there who, when I just drop off my packages, if she happens to be there, she'll turn her head and say, "Is there anything fragile, perishable, or hazardous, blah blah blah, in those packages?" And so they always ask that, and I always just say no. But if you said there was something fragile, what would they do?
I don't know.
Okay.
Plus, I haven't been to the post office in so long.
Well, I gotta go now because I have a scanning issue, so I have to go because that's why I lost my.
All right.
We won't talk about that.
Yep. Okay. All right. Let's get our guest in here because now it is time because this is gonna be awesome. Our guest of the week is Helen Midler. Oh, whoops. She's not Tiki Talk. What am I doing? Much better. All right, let's see if we can bring her on here because it didn't ever look like she disappeared. All right. Oh, I hope
Oh, no. Do we lose Helen?
All right, you talk for a minute. I'm going to figure this out.
So Helen is awesome. Jay said to me last week when he was in, before he left for New York a couple weeks ago, I said, what can I help with the show? And he said, find us a guest. So I found as Helen, and I was thinking, you know, what would be a cool angle, and I knew of Helen from, she's a very active member of our thrifting board. She's a really nice person, and she came to my mind because I thought, what better thing than to have, you know, somebody, a different perspective, because she lives in Australia. She actually lives in Melbourne. She is across the country in Perth right now. It's Friday morning there. She is celebrating Passover tonight because it's Friday with her family, and so she flew to the other side of Australia, and anyway, so she's going to talk a little bit, if we get her back, I hope, about, you know, just thrifting.
You got my message. She dropped out. We're going to get her back in here.
So about thrifting in Australia and the differences between thrifting in the U.S. and thrifting in Australia. And there are some actual, you know, interesting differences. And it's really, I think it's going to be interesting to learn about thrifting, you know, in Australia, and just a bit about Helen too, because she's a very interesting, fun person. So I think
she's a blast.
Oh yeah, she's great. She's a really sweet, just fun, energetic person. So I think everyone will like her.
And she is not drinking rum. What time is it there? Like 5 a.m.
It is now 9:42 a.m. on Friday morning. She's 12 hours.
All right, here she comes. Here she comes. Here she comes. Yay! Oh, what happened?
No.
What happened? She was there for 2 seconds.
Look at her, and she has a good connection too.
I know.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that was crazy. And I will tell you this. I did a show with Rake and Profits 2 nights ago, and I was having there were some technical issues with Google Hangouts. Are you there?
There she is. Oh no. Okay, okay. We're there. Good.
I'm here.
That's okay. I knew we'd get you back. So.
Oh, I forgot to do this. I got out my hat. Since we have an Australian guest.
Yes.
I got my Australia hat on. Keep the flies away. All right, so do you guys really wear this hat?
Oh, God, no.
I would think. That's what I thought it was about. Yeah, it's Australian.
Yeah, sold to American tourists.
That's what I would say is a tourist thing, yeah.
I like it, so I'm keeping it.
No, it's to keep the flies off. You realize that?
Yeah, oh, I know. I didn't know at first,
but
a little research told me what it was. So
you look ridiculous in it, but it's you, so I can't. I just
cool.
How it just goes, you know. So we have that's the Australian flag behind you. So and so we're gonna start off asking you to tell us a little bit about yourself, your family, how you got started selling, and what your influences were. And I know a couple of your influences are personal to Jay and I and the group that we have. So if you can talk a little bit about that, you know, just about your life, your family. I know you have a full-time or a mostly full-time job too. So can you tell us a little bit about all that?
Yeah, I work at one of the big universities here in Melbourne as an administrator for one of the centres. But and the job's great, love it. I have a great husband. I've been married 25 years last week, and I have 3
Congratulations.
I have 3 great kids who are 22, 20, and 16, and they're actually on holiday together in Hawaii at the moment. So that's pretty awesome. They're having a great time together. And but I was just, you know, we have a cool dog. Nay and I saw photos of dogs last week. But I was just finding I was in a bit of a rut. You know, you go to work, you come home, I'd put on Bold and the Beautiful, pretty sad. Then I'd make dinner, and that was the day gone. And so I was just chatting with a girlfriend about, you know, how we both felt that we just needed something else cool to do. And she was like, yeah, let's go learn a language, let's go do mosaics, let's do a cooking course. And she said, well, what do you want to do? And I said, the only thing I really like doing is buying and selling stuff. And she said, well, why don't you do that? And I'm like, So I went home that night, and I straight away just started researching. I found a local auction group that literally is around the corner from my place. I actually thought it was a brothel because I saw people going in and out of there.
Oh, my.
Wow.
I knew I was going there. I just thought, and so I started going to that, and I'd always loved op shopping and flea marketing and going to garage sales, but I'd sold a few things on and off on eBay, and so I just started, and then in my research I found Thrift Hunters, so I started watching that and getting there, woo. And then that ended, and then I sort of kept searching and found the old Facebook group, and just after I joined that, I was like, yes, that ended, and then found the thrifting board. And so I kind of just, every morning when I wake up, I sort of straight away go onto Facebook and just check out what's happening. And I've just found it just incredible, because nobody here I know, really thrifts. And but it's becoming cool here. But people I'm friends with are not really into it. And so I've just really started from that. And I'm just heading towards 500. Listings on eBay now. And I love it. I kind of aim for, if I get one a day, I'm happy. Some days I get like 4 or 5. Some days I get none. But I'm just loving it, and I get excited and passionate about it, and I just love the hunt, and I love the sale, and I love the win of it. I love that someone's getting rid of stuff they don't want, and that I'm making a bit of money, and someone else is getting something cool they really want. So I love it, and you guys are awesome, and have really, given me so much help and inspiration.
Aw.
So I love it.
Thank you.
That's so nice to hear.
I got to say, I was on vacation. I said, hey, Nate, figure out a guest for us next week, because I'm too busy running around New York with my wife, and Helen is our guest, and already awesome guest. So good job, Nadine.
Thank you.
All right, Helen, do you sell only on eBay.au, or do you sell on eBay.com too?
I list on ebay.com.au, but I pretty much always add into post worldwide. I sell a bit on Gumtree locally, like if it's big stuff. I don't know if you have a Gumtree over there. I don't know if you have Gumtree. It's more like just sort of locally based stuff. But so it's just like if it's something big that I really it's just like a old cupboard or a bed or something, like that's just too hard, like from home mainly. So I do sort of post worldwide. I have to say that probably I would say 90% of my sales are Australian. I'd love there to be more, but I think the postage is a bit of a killer for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So so I do post. I do post worldwide, but most of my sales are within Australia.
Okay.
I've sold a few to America and the UK. I sent one to Saudi Arabia yesterday. That was a first.
Okay. We have
it was $25 gain, and it was $55 postage.
Oh.
I think, Jay, should I ask Christine's question at this point? Because I think it kind of ties in with what she was just
go ahead. Absolutely.
Yeah, so Christine, one of our lifeguards on the thrifting board, and she's also our chat admin there. So she asked if she's Canadian, and basically her question is, lately a large chunk of her eBay customers have been Australian, and she said that all the listings that they bought were in Canadian currency, and that other Canadian eBay sellers have noticed this surge as well. So she wants to know if Australians feel some sort of affinity to Canadians. Is it a currency thing? She said it's about half of her sales, which is she said that one Canadian just started offering outside shipping, NA shipping. I'm not sure what that is, because of that surge, and she got an Australian shopper. So that's interesting, because I get some Australian sales here in the U.S., but not a lot. So maybe you can shed some light on that for Christine.
I think Australians, no offense to Americans, but I think Australians actually share a bit of an affinity to Canadians just generally, and I'm not sure what it is. I think maybe we generally find Canadians a bit less brash if you're out traveling. Right. You know what I mean? No offense. Yeah, that's what I mean by that. So I think that's it. In terms of and I think we may be slightly stronger against the Canadian dollar than we are against the US dollar. Like at the moment, the US dollar it's really hard for us to buy stuff in America. Like it's actually not too bad at the moment, but it's really about a year or 2 years ago there was parity. Like the Australian dollar was $1 American dollar, and then it dropped below 70 cents for us like a couple of months ago. I think it's back up to mid-70s. So it's really hard to buy, and then you add shipping into that. It's very, very difficult to buy stuff from the US. I haven't bought anything from Canada. So I'm not really sure like how it's working in terms of the dollar, if that's what Christine is asking, or if it's more just about a general affinity to Canadians. I'm not sure what she's asking
I do know that I've never met a mean Canadian. Canadians are very nice. So I think, I guess, with the currency difference, that would explain some of it too. So
yeah, like it's really hard for us to shop overseas. I mean,
so we're having
really is. And it's great, and that's why it's easier for Americans to buy from us, because stuff is just a lot cheaper, obviously. I don't have that answered. Sorry, Christine, if I didn't answer your question properly.
No, I think it answered it well. Yes, she said she just had an insane number of Australian shoppers lately.
That's awesome. Good for her. Yeah, and I've sold a lot to Australia, and I love my Australian customers.
Oh yeah, I do too. I've had some great. I don't have I have a good balance of international sales, but I've never had a problem with an Australian sale. They've always gone wonderful. So.
Yeah.
That's great.
All right. So Helen, have you thrifted in the United States?
Not really. This bug kind of came on me pretty recently. So I was in the States last January, so January 2015, because my daughter was doing an exchange in San Diego. So I did pop into a couple of op shops in San Diego, but not really with a thrifting brain. It was more just with Helen looking for some cool stuff brain. So most of any comparisons that I can make are very much based on the things that I see going on the board. So it's not a lot from personal experience of shopping.
So I'm gonna blend right into our next question, because it kind of works. Mm-hmm. You keep saying op shop, and I'm sure most people are like, "What the hell is she talking about?" So let's go over the terminology difference, because what we call a estate sale, you have a whole different title for. So tell us the difference in the terminology, because you know it now that you see us talk about it.
Yeah. I think the big difference is, so for example, we call it an op shop, which is a shortening. Us Australians shorten everything. It's for an opportunity shop. So they were called opportunity shops, but now we just call them op shops. So all we go op shopping. So you call them thrift shops or Goodwills or whatever. We really just go by a more generic term of op shop for whichever brand of op shop it is. What you call yard sale, we call a garage sale. So it's theoretically in someone's garage as opposed to in their yard, but people still do them in their yards. What you call an estate sale, I would call a deceased estate. So I often search those. I've never been to one that is run by a professional company. I don't even know who runs them or where they run them. But every Friday I do a bit of a search locally on this Gumtree thing that I mentioned to you, and that will list the garage sales, and I'll search specifically deceased estate. And it will just be a garage sale, but it will be a deceased estate. And often you just wander through the house and the family's there. And I went to an awesome one last week. It was like $1, $2, everything, and they were just the nicest. Oh my God, that was where I got my glasses.
Ah, the VR glasses. Yes, she in her.
I think they're the main terminology things. I'm just looking at my notes. Like
trash and treasure. You have trash and treasure. Can you tell us what?
Well, you could say flea market, which is a term here. It's just not one that I tend to use. So I go to a local market every Sunday, and it's just called the Bentley Market. That's just the suburb name. And it's trash and treasure means, it's basically what it sounds like. Someone else's trash is someone else's treasure. And so that's sort of a term that people use here. A flea market is used here, but I don't think it's something that people tend to use a lot like they do in the States.
Okay.
They're kind of the main terminology differences, I think, that I've noticed, just from the board and reading all the posts and stuff like that.
Okay. Can you tell us the difference in the type of commonly found, what we call bolos, or items that you want to be on the lookout for? The common ones found in Australia versus the U.S. Can you tell us how they differ? I know one example that you had given was with the Starbucks mugs.
Yeah.
They're very plentiful here in the U.S., but apparently not so in Australia. So can you explain a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. So just on the Starbucks stuff, Starbucks really has zero profile here in Australia, or certainly in Melbourne. Melbourne has a huge coffee culture. We love our coffee, and we're very proud of our coffee. And Starbucks did exist, and there still are a couple around the place, like I think in the CBD, in Central Business Area, but generally they all shut down because Australians just didn't feel that they were up to the standard of coffee that we like to drink. So that's really, it just wasn't being, people weren't going there and they weren't buying coffee, and the whole place just went down the gurgler. So you don't really see those Starbucks mugs, and I only knew from you guys that they were collectible and valuable. And so when I was at a local op shop recently, and I did post it on the website, on the board, I was so excited, and I went to a local op shop that I go to all the time, and seriously, there were people in the shop, and there were 4 sitting side by side on a shelf, like as new, and nobody was interested in them, like nobody. And I just like,
did you squeal like a little girl?
Oh, I squealed like a pig, Jason, like a pig. Yeah, I literally just looked around and went, this can't be happening. And I just like grabbed them and calmly said, I'll take these for $2 a piece. Thank you very much. And I've sold 2 of them, and I've still got 2 listed. So, yeah, so they're like really awesome, the Starbucks things. But and they were both sold locally. One was a guy in the next suburb. The $100 one was to a guy in the next suburb. So there obviously are collectors around in Australia. In terms of bowlers, like I see stuff on the board all the time that we just never see here. So tiki mugs, for example, like there is, actually I read online the other night that there is one on the other side of town from where I live, a great tiki bar. So I'm going to drag hubby over there at some stage. But generally, I've never seen a tiki mug. And my kids are in Hawaii, so I've begged my daughter to bring one back, and Jason sent me a link for them to go to. We don't see Pendleton, we don't see Nick and Nora, we don't see Hawaiian shirts, really. We just see cheap, crappy ones from like the local Target. I don't see rain spinner. So I see these things all the time, but I'm never going to see them here. So the things here, and like I've talked like maybe about doing like an Aussie kind of bolo for the people who are members of the group. I haven't yet figured out what are like bolos. I think maybe like our local kind of sporting stuff. Obviously, you know, like I sold these 4 great 1976 drinking glasses from a testimonial political dinner for one of our great prime ministers. I think stuff that is collectible, but you know, just take what you guys find as bolos, but they just Australianise it. You know, so our footy players, you know, Australian rules football, stuff like that. You know, cricket. They're great people in Australia love cricket. So, you know, it's just trying to find things that people love, but I haven't yet figured out what are the awesome bolos. I kind of just go, that's cool, I'll buy that. And if it happens to sell, then put it down as a bolo. So I'm still figuring that out.
Hey, there was a great question in the chat. Do you see a lot of Coogee stuff?
It's like that hat. We hate Coogee stuff. I think it's like the ugliest stuff I've ever seen. Sorry if I'm offending anybody there with it. I saw one at this Bentley market, which I bought for $3 and sold for $60 to someone, but it was like just before Christmas, and it was ugly. It was Christmas colours. I think it was for an ugly sweater thing. Don't really see it. I don't even. There used to be a retailer in Melbourne, a Coogee shop. I got no idea if it's still alive and kicking. So no, don't see a lot of it. Most I see is on your board.
So we already talked, excuse me, about the shipping costs. How about shipping materials like bubble wrap, peanuts, boxes? Is that a great? I mean, is there? I don't know. It's weird. Can you get it locally at a decent price, or is that a tough thing to get too?
Yeah, I started off when I first started eBay, and I didn't really know how big it was going to get for me. Even I'm still very small, like very part time. I was going and buying these little things of bubble wrap at the post office. And then I suddenly realised, oh my God, I'm like being completely ripped off by buying these tiny things of bubble wrap that were gone in like 3 months. So I do go to like what we call Office Works. You probably have an equivalent. And I also, you can online, like, so I do go and buy like a giant, you know, roll of it, and I have one with the big bubbles. And so all the terminology is the same. Bubble wrap, peanuts are really expensive. They're really hard to find. The thing that differs for us is that your terminology for the USPS and what Australia posts, like the terminology is different and the pricing is different, and so yeah, that's really hard for me to tune into a lot of those questions and things that I see on the board because it's very different here, and they've just released a whole lot of new system. I've got someone in the UK first time ever has said, what's happened to this item, and I only paid for economy air mail, and there's no tracking. So I think I'm pretty much stuffed. If it doesn't turn up, I'm going to have to just refund and apologise. But then I went and bulk edited all my listings yesterday after this happened to include every international postage with registered mail now, because I don't want that to happen again. So, yeah, so I just go and buy stuff in bulk, and I buy tissue paper, and I buy the bubble wrap of different kind of bubble thickness, and I, you know, just brown wrapping paper and just like you guys would do. Yep.
Okay. What is the one thing that really surprises you about thrifting in the USA? Do you see anything that really sticks out as a surprise to you when you read the boards? And
some of the prices that people manage to pay for these awesome things, like, oh, I got this for $0.25, or I got this for a dime, or 49 cents. I just never ever seen that. Like, maybe if you go to a garage sale and there's a kid who's got like a lucky dip bucket with all his toys from McDonald's, you know, or his leftover erasers from his, you know, from his pencil box or whatever, like you might get something for 25 cents. But I mean, going into an op shop, I can never pay anything less than a few dollars for something. So I'm always amazed. I got this for 49 cents and I sold it for $399. You know, that is amazing to me.
Yeah.
That's probably, yeah, I think that's probably the thing that surprised me. Oh, and the other thing is, oh my God, you guys have like full-on barns that you shop in. Like, I have never been into an op shop where I needed or could get a trolley. Like, the big ones you get a hand basket.
Yeah, now trolley is a shopping cart for those of you who don't know.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, shopping trolley.
Yep.
The sheer size of those places, when I watched Thrift Hunters and I saw you guys rolling through this, you know, taking runs on your bloody trolleys, I'm like, oh my God, like we have, I'm talking about suburban Melbourne, and maybe outside of Melbourne it's different, and maybe other Aussies have got different experiences. But like seriously, I could not be in a shop for 2 hours. I'm in there for half an hour max because it's just not that big.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot smaller. So the ones that I go to, my regular ones, my regular haunts, are much smaller. They're just like small retail outlets that have been converted. They're an shop. That's it.
I know that's true.
So that's probably the main difference, I reckon.
I know that's true. I mean, I haven't been to Europe it was years ago, but when I was in Europe, I noticed that they were smaller, and there seems to be, at least you know, in the countries that I was in, less waste there than there is in the U.S. Like the U.S. just seems to have such an overabundance of discarded stuff. Like, I'm wondering if it's kind of similar in Australia. Like, you know, we just have so much. There's just so much in the waste stream that goes to thrift stores. I think that's why they're so huge. You know, I'm not sure if that's a difference.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I mean, it must be. I think it's just sheer volume of, you know, size of population.
Yeah.
You know, is just so different. And in my local thrift store, I know that, you know, there's always stuff left outside the front door every morning, you know, because I drive past on the way to work. And by the afternoon, it's inside, and I often pop in on the way back from work, and I can see that the volunteers are sorting through it. I don't think anything is being, like, chucked out. I think, you know, it's all just being gone through and then go out on the shelves. And, you know, they take a lot of pride in sort of a lot of stores try and make it look really funky and set things out really nicely. It's not just like a big barn, you know, with there's just stuff everywhere. Some of them are bigger. There are bigger ones, but generally the ones I go to are more boutique, if that's a correct word for
yeah,
it. I think that's a real difference. So.
Okay. Yeah, because we have some that are more like private owned and like little more boutique prices and all, so I can understand that comparison.
As a matter of fact, I just sold a tiki mug.
Yeah,
I'm talking about tiki stuff. All right, Nate, I'm going to ask her.
I wish we had them here. I love it.
I'm going to ask her number 8. You ask her 9. Then we're going to do her scores and duds because she has to get to a birthday party for her 90-year-old mother today. So happy birthday to your mom. So what do you think your biggest accomplishment and success has been online selling? Like either the thing you sold, you know, for the most, or the thing you enjoyed selling the most?
Oh, that's an interesting question. I think in terms of accomplishment, I'm going on a 25th anniversary trip to Europe. I've never been to Europe, and I've put about like $6,000 towards that trip. So that's like a really huge account, because people are saying, oh, how much money can you make doing this part-time, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, I put $6,000 towards our anniversary trip. I reckon that's a pretty good accomplishment, you know, on its own. I just, in terms of like, I just really love it. I love finding things that are quirky and odd. So I don't really do a lot of clothing. I don't do a lot of music. I'm trying to get my head around those things. I kind of walk in and just look for something that just jumps out at me that's maybe a little bit different, and that's just a thrill. And I just really get a thrill sending stuff to someone that they're excited to receive, and I think it's just it's just such a great, as I said, win-win-win all around. It's brilliant. Love it.
Awesome.
Yes.
I hope that answered your question.
And I see our last question for you, and then we'll get to your scores and duds, is I see you a lot in our social media threads, and I'm one of the lifeguards that runs, you know, that helps run the social media on our group. So how do you, can you talk a little bit about how you use social media to help your selling, and you know, just what platforms you use and how it helps?
Yeah, that's going to be a really short answer. Because I'm really a bit of an old dog. I'm a bit of an old dog, and I found it hard to learn new tricks. And so I kept seeing this social media thread come up, and I was like, God, I wish I knew what the hell they were talking about. Like, I just looked and went, I don't get it. And eventually I decided to kind of jump in, and Lorna, shout out to Lorna, Thompson, if you're out there. Lorna was amazing, kind of through it. And I sort of read all the files, and then the first time I did it, I was like petrified, you know, the sharing. And now I love doing it. So I don't do a lot. So I'm on Twitter, and I generally do the sharing thread with you guys, and then I just post a few new items up on Twitter, and then I just retweet anybody else who's sort of tweeting me. I don't really get it, to be perfectly honest.
I think you're
I'm
doing
actually
great,
faking it.
You're one of our
but that's okay. Oh, I reckon I'm faking it. But
I forgot to share the screen. Crap. Your cat's going to town back there.
I know. He is
All right. Usually it's cat nap corner, but tonight it is cat groom corner. Yes. Milo is just cleaning like he has.
Yes, he's a...
Oh, and of course, the second we talk about it, he's like, I'm done. Screw this. I'm out of the shot.
He walked
You're talking about me. Goodbye. See you later. All right, let's get to your scores and duds. And here's what's funny. So before we get to any actual scores and duds, while you've been talking, I've been leafing through your store.
Yeah.
And I could not imagine a more stereotypical item in your store than a boomerang. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, our Australian guest has a boomerang in her store.
I'm going to show you no Australian's ever going to buy that.
Now here's the real question.
Can
you throw one and have it come back to you? Are you good at it?
I've never even held a boomerang. It's like, oh, do you people have kangaroos in your backyard? No. And we don't learn how to throw boomerangs. I got no idea.
Too funny.
No.
All right, let's talk about your scores, because I love finding old ashtrays that sell for good money, and you did just that.
Oh, yeah, that's an awesome one.
Yeah. This was at the op shop right next to my physio, so which is what you call a physical therapist. We call them a physiotherapist. And so I always manage to get to my appointment like with half an hour to spare so I can pop into the op shop. And I was just doing my usual like survey, and I'm like, ooh, what's that? And I don't know anything really about ashtrays, but I just loved it. I love the colouring, and I love the terriers. And it was $6, and I'm like, ooh, $6. You know, maybe that's a bit much, but no, I'll get it. And then when I got home and researched, I thought this is actually relatively, you know, collectible and valuable. So I think I started it at $59.99, and then I just started tweaking. And yeah, it sold pretty quickly. Like within a week, it was gone. And then last night, I put in some online bids at the auction house that I go to because I couldn't go on a Thursday night. And I put in a bid, I think, for $10, and I got another one. I won that auction. So I'll be putting another one up when I get back home.
Very
so I hope
cool.
that sells over $50.
Yeah, that is, yeah.
Cool.
And I have them in an order, but I'm going to jump ahead because somebody already was looking in your store and asked about this. So why in the world is this Harry Potter worth $170?
Okay. Good question.
Okay, this is really interesting, like this crazy Harry Potter phenomenon. There was a story around on Facebook about, oh, drag out your Harry Potter books, they're worth a fortune. And so everyone started going nuts. So my kids, of course, got their books, and I said, no, I'm not selling yours. And I went to the local market and I bought the Philosopher's Stone for $3. And I knew that this one was the one that people were looking for, because if you open it up, it says, text by Joanne Rowling, not J.K. Rowling or Rowling.
Oh, wow.
And so it's the first edition published in Australia, but if you look inside, what I did with my research is those numbers down the bottom, it says 2019, 18, 17. Yep. That's the first edition, but it's the 17th printing of it, and you can tell that because of the 17. If you've got a book that says 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, it means it's the first printing of that edition. So I started to, so I got one. I thought, okay, it was a Sunday afternoon. I put it up at, okay, I spent $3, I'll put it up at $30 for an auction, and I never do auctions. And then suddenly the phone started cha-chinging, and I actually don't do auctions. I'm like, what's wrong with my phone? It keeps cha-chinging. I don't know what's going on. And then there was just like this big on brawl, and it ended up going for $170. And others were going for $200, $300. Wow. So then the next week I went and bought another one for $3. That one went for $50. And then I got two up and nothing, not a peep. It's like this. There was this wave of everyone bring out your dead, bring out your Harry Potters, and now it's gone. The moment's gone. I don't get it. But hey, I rode the wave for a short while.
Heck yeah. Nice sale.
Yeah, I think the hardback.
Now here's your Starbucks mugs that you talked about.
Oh yeah, yes, I remember that one.
Oh, what happened? She disappeared. Are you back?
Yeah, I'm back.
Okay. Here's your Waikiki Starbucks mug.
Yeah, yeah. It didn't sell for 150. He offered 100, and I was happy to just get 110 to just cover the $10 eBay fees. Yeah. So and it was local pickup. So two Australian dollars.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So that was cool. And it was just like a guy in the next suburb. So, yeah, Miami sold. So I spent a lot of time researching because I really didn't know much about how much. I knew Waikiki was worth more from the people in this group. Really helped me out with that. So I really appreciated it.
Very nice.
So here's the only suggestion I would give you. As new condition, I would have got rid of because you have your item condition box. I would have thrown Hawaii on this one and Florida on this one.
Oh.
Just better.
That makes sense.
Better keywords. I mean, I'm sure people are looking specifically for Miami, but Florida is a searchable term. Obviously, Hawaii is a searchable term. So that's only. Other than that, I mean, they're great sales. Just that'd be my only little bit of advice.
Yeah. Thanks. Cool advice. I'll go back and fix up the other ones, I think.
Now you had a little story that goes with all these games you found.
Yeah, we're a bit of a games family anyway. Like, we often get together, the five of us, and just play board games. So I had a lot of success with board games. RSL recently, and it was just like his entire yard was just games. And I was like, oh my God. And he said, you know what, why don't you buy the whole lot? I said, because my husband will kill me. And he said, no, just take the whole lot. You can have more for $100. And there was he said there's probably 100 items plus here. So I did, and I rang my and said, oh yeah. And so they're starting to move now, which is great. So I've definitely made my money back, and they're all just, this is an awesome game that we actually have at home. Love this game. And yeah, they're just starting to move. There's sort of some vintage, some more contemporary, some are in shitty condition, some are in, pardon my language, some are in better condition, but I try and be transparent in terms of the condition that the games are in. But I love games, and I haven't really progressed to selling parts yet. I haven't kind of got to that, but I will.
The chat, and I was going to say this anyway, great first picture. That's how I sell my games. Set the board up, make it look fun. If you just take a picture of the box, unless it's sealed, obviously, if you just take a picture of the box, it's quite boring. Make people envision that they're playing the game.
Yeah, and I noticed that when you talked before about that your was it the dud? I can't remember, with the cassettes or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely tried this one. This is the one that I just sent to Saudi Arabia yesterday. How random. So you paid a double in postage. But it was this really cool game, like from the 1970s. It was just really simple, awesome game, and not many pieces to it, but it's gone to Saudi Arabia.
So that's cool.
That is awesome. I don't think I've shipped anything. You know what? I think I did ship one item to Saudi Arabia, but that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So no, games are great, and I really do try and always set them up, and because I think that just the box, I agree, just looks like boring as.
So this just seems like a very easy, just simplistic memory game. You got $32 for it. That's awesome.
Well, yeah, and weirdly, if you can see the writing on it, it says Shire of Melton, which is like a local council. And so obviously it belonged to like a local council toy library. And so every card is stamped on the back, Shire of Melton. And I'm like, but it's really a vintage game, and it's complete. And it's one of the original like memory games. As I said, it's all from research. I wouldn't know this myself. And so it sold really quickly. So it's a cool game. And this is beautiful. Can I talk about this one?
Oh, absolutely.
Wow, that is awesome.
This was in this $100 blob of games that I brought home, and my kids were starting to do all the puzzles for me because they like puzzles, even though they're in their 20s and whatever. And this one was vintage fairy tale puzzles. And I was looking through it, and there's 4 puzzles in the box, and they were really cute and really beautifully done and beautifully cut. And I noticed on the box that it said designed by Tasha Tudor, who I'd never heard of. And so I actually didn't even research it. I just wrote designed by Tasha Tudor. And it sold to a woman in Sydney who messaged me to say that she collects artwork by Tasha Tudor, and she didn't know that she even did the vintage puzzle, the puzzle artwork. And now she's added this to her collection, and she's just over the moon with it. So again, it's like that win-win, hey? Someone's got something they just love and they never even knew existed. So that was cool.
My grandmother was a huge Tasha Tudor fan, and what made me I was looking at this when you were talking. So there are 4 Tasha Tudor puzzles in here, but they have her name tiny in the corner. Like you would never know unless you were really paying attention. So that was cool that you found that. And yeah, I know my grandmother was a Tasha Tudor fan. I know she would have loved this. So very, very cool.
Yeah, it was really just a fluke. I didn't know what I was buying. It was just in this huge box lot. Ha.
All right, so I think we're on to your duds now, and then we will finish. Yeah. This is a dud, right?
Well, yes and no. Like it didn't.
Halfway.
I bought it for $1. I sold it for only $18, but it was my first ever sale to a television studio. So I think it's going to be in like a, kind of a period. Oh. So they went to Channel 7 studios in Melbourne, in Sydney. So yeah, it didn't get a huge amount of money, but it was still cool.
Very cool.
Awesome.
That's not one of your games?
Secrets. Yeah. I've never heard of that. Yeah, that must...
I never heard of it. It sold within like an hour of posting. So.
Oh.
I know, it's been crazy.
And what did that sell? What is it? I'm trying to see what that one sold for.
$22.50.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, so...
And then we're out of the games, now we're into glassware.
Yeah, that's not a dud. That was the good one. That was my testimonial dinner. See, these are still scores. This was like he was a former Prime Minister of Australia that is a huge part of Australian political history. He was ousted in very unceremoniously. And so to find glasses from his testimonial dinner in 1976 for the Australian Labor Party, and the woman at the garage sale said, "Oh my God, who would want those?" I said, "I'll take them for $2, thanks." And
sold them for $75.
Yeah, so awesome. And the guy's really excited about them. Yep.
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah.
Anytime somebody's done something bad, that's good for people like us who sell stuff, because people remember that and they're like, oh, I'll take that.
He didn't actually do anything that bad. He was just very unceremoniously dumped. It was really terrible.
Right. Yeah. So I said that wrong, but yeah. So there was something bad revolving around him. Get out.
Yeah, it was like that. And this is still scores, other than duds.
Yeah, I know. I think duds are next.
Wow. Really?
And it's
That's
been so.
amazing. Okay, because they're limited edition. I was gonna say I'm gonna go shop my kids Thomas.
Unopened. Again, this was it was an auction lot that I got for $40, which is more than I would normally spend at an auction. It was a box of Thomas stuff unopened. I didn't really know much about it. I came home and I made like the 45 back within like one sale, and then these sold for $125 a couple of weeks ago. I went up to retrieve them from the box to post them, and I found another set of. So they're now listed. Awesome. So cool. Guys,
All
this is
right,
fun.
now we're on your duds.
Yeah, she's got a lot of. She's doing great. She's got a lot of scores. That's awesome.
Oh my God, this dad, the funniest story, right? So Aussie rules, Australian rules footy is huge here. Huge. So we went to this deceased estate months ago, and we're just, sifting through the stuff, and the guy said, look, find whatever you want. Anyway, my hubby found this football, and it was a signed football that was part of like a commemorative game, and it was for Essendon Football Club, which is one of the big footy clubs here, and it was signed by some really big names. It was like, oh my, actually worth a few $100s. But it was deflated. It was deflated. So we took it home, and my hubby said, I'm going to pump it up. He pumped it up. The next morning we came down, and the whole thing had exploded because he pumped it too.
Boom!
I'm sorry. That's funny, I guess.
And so I thought, I'll stuff it. I'm still going to list it. And it sold twice, but I think it's like little kids who are Essendon supporters, and then their parents go, I'm not spending any money on that piece of crap. So they've kind of reneged on the deal.
That is funny.
Got a few viewers, a few watchers. I could have killed him, but it was so funny. He goes, oh my God, it literally exploded in the middle of the night.
Yeah, that's funny.
It was a good one. It was so funny. So funny. Make it done.
All right, vacuum bags.
Oh, yeah.
I'm blaming you guys. Somebody mentioned vacuum cleaner bags on this board, I'm sure.
Usually they're good.
I got a comment about that. So.
But it depends. It depends on the bag, the vacuum.
You gotta look up because some of them I found some in my thrifts, and I thought, oh, this is gonna be great, and I look it up, and it's just like, and then others are, they sell great. So it depends on the model and the make and the specific bag.
Right.
You have to do, yeah.
It's a box of stuff. If someone wants to make me an offer, I've got it at best offer, I reckon. Seriously, I'll take anything, but nobody's shown any interest in it yet. So.
I'm sorry we let you astray.
And a lot of them do sell well. It's just I've learned that you really do have to look up what model it is and.
Yeah, anyway, it's all good. It's all good. Too funny.
Oh.
So your Star Wars Clone Wars cup, coffee mug here?
Does nobody care about the Clone Wars? Obviously not. I saw Star Wars.
Here's what I would do. I would get rid of Star Wars. Get rid of the because you really don't need the. And get rid of animated. We lost Nadine. Oh no. Get rid of animated series, collectible, Lucasfilm. So put in. You got Yoda here. You've got Anakin Skywalker. You got Obi-Wan Kenobi. So put all the characters' names in the title, and that might help it sell.
Okay, cool. I'll do it. Awesome. Thank you, Jim.
Hey, welcome back, Nadine. Where'd you go?
I don't know why I just dropped out and
All right, and then your last dud, and we will wrap this up, is Happy Days gift book. That's a dud.
I was thinking this morning when I heard the news about Prince, I thought maybe Henry Winkler's getting old.
Well, he is old.
So I shouldn't say that. I wouldn't, want to wish any ill on him. But does nobody care about the funds anymore? Does nobody care?
It's funny. He wrote a kid's book that I'm reading to my kids. We're going through the whole thing, and we read a couple pages every night. And it's written by Henry Winkler. Yeah, it's pretty funny.
Well, I got
reading children's books these days.
I got this last time I was in Perth and went op shopping around the corner, and it was $4 or whatever, and I'm like, okay, that's cool. Someone will buy it. Nah, there's no interest in the fun.
How long's it been up?
Probably 3 months.
Okay.
No, that's.
It's not time to freak out yet, but 3 months without a nibble, that's quite a while.
Not a nibble. So I wish everything good for Henry Winkler, but when his time comes, maybe I'll be able to sell it.
All right. Well, that was an awesome show. Holy cow. Helen, you're awesome.
Yes.
You are great. Such an asset to our group. A great guest tonight. It was so great to hear, the experiences from, especially a different country. We've had Canada. We now had Australia. I think Wales will be our next international guest because we got some good couple from Wales that did a video the other day for the thrifting group. And I love my hat. I know I'm a dorky tourist, but when I come to Australia to visit,
you're just a dorky person, period. So.
Had the best time. Nay, thank you for inviting me, guys. But when are you coming? Like, we want to host you guys.
Not anytime soon, but it's on our list of places to go. And my wife just scared the shit out of me because the printer is by my foot, and she just printed out something, and all of a sudden things are falling on my leg. I'm like, what's happening?
Thanks so much for having me.
But when I do come, we're going thrifting together. That's for sure.
Oh my God.
Yes, it's on my list. It's on my list of while I'm on this earth to get there. But hopefully.
Can't wait to see you here. And Jay, I have to find it.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we are going tiki barring for sure. So thank you, Helen, for being our guest tonight. Thank you, Nadine, for getting Helen. So
I'm so glad she lived. Up to and beyond my expectations. I knew she was going to do awesome, but. Thank you.
Thank you to Milo for coming back into the shot.
Yes, he did. Yeah, and Helen at the bottom where you can't see him.
And next week we are on Wednesday, correct, Nadine?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have a cancer support group on Thursday, so we are doing Wednesday.
All right, we do not have a guest yet, but I got a good idea for another great guest and another out of the park home run with our guest. Thank you to all of you tuned in live. Thanks to all of you who watch later. Please give us a thumbs up down below, and if you have not subscribed, please subscribe. And I think we're going to try, and this is a surprise to Nadine, if she has time this weekend, I think we'll try and fit in a haul show. We have a few viewers who want to show their haul, and I bought a few things today that I didn't even show on my Periscope. So if we can fit in maybe a Sunday night haul, we'll do a Sunday night haul. So stay tuned. Stay tuned to the Thrifting Board. Stay tuned to Thrifty Business with Jay and Nay. And everybody have a great day. And if you have your print stuff, get it listed. Rest in peace, Prince.
I just want to say one more thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry, you were.
I was just going to say, Purple Rain for life, baby.
Aw, and I'm sorry. I really, it is sad that he passed. He was very talented, and I just wanted to give a shout out to all of our viewers and all of our Thrifting Board members who have, donated, helped me, just sent cards, sent messages, sent. I've gotten some packages, recently with some inventory that I will list, and I'm just very touched by the support and the love that I've gotten from everyone. And if I haven't personally thanked you yet, it's not because I haven't noticed or I haven't gotten, it's all touching me. It's just, it's so overwhelming and so wonderful. So I just wanted to say thank you. I feel very loved and supported, and I don't, I just feel like everyone's got my back on this, so thank you so much.
Have a good evening, everybody. Thrift on. Thank you, Helen, and we'll see you next Wednesday. Put it in your calendar. Next Wednesday. Yes. Good night, everybody, from sunny Las Vegas.